You're listening to the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast, released bi-weekly every Sunday at 5 p.m. on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple iTunes. Welcome to the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast. Today, we have Changez Ahmed, who completed his bachelor's from the University of Texas. He currently works as a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. We'll hear more about him throughout this podcast, so welcome on.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, so I guess we could kick off. How was your time in Pakistan? Do you mind talking about your relation to Pakistan?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was there when I was very young. So I was born in Karachi. Grew up in Islamabad for a few years. We ended up immigrating to the U.S. When I was about 5 years old. So this was well, back in 2000, so quite a while back. Not the best time to, come to the U.S. I mean, a year after that, we had 9/11. So, a lot going on. Immigration slowed down a ton, the process to, get green card, citizenship, and all of that. But moved out here to Texas, Houston, Texas, to be exact. And yeah, pretty much spent my entire life here. I was in Austin for about 8 years or so for school and then work as well, but back in Houston now. Karachi and, Islamabad have still quite a few memories from back there. But yeah, only a few years and then a few summers there, of course.
Got you. Any good memories during your time, like in terms of when you visited back for the summers and whatnot?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, man. We would go back a lot this summer. So especially when I was young, it was almost, I think, I want to say at least every other summer or so, or at least every 2, 3 years, we would be back and it'd be like 2, 3 months at a time. It definitely was a lot more fun when I was younger. Grandparents are all there, cousins, aunts, uncles. Summer's not the best time to be in Pakistan, of course. It's stinking
Yeah.
hot, but food's great. Relatives always, spoil you a bit. Gifts, food, sweets, all of that. But favorite part, I'm a big food guy, so favorite thing is getting to eat my grandma's home cooking, and I love the Pakistani mangoes as well. So yeah, a lot of
The
good
chocolates.
memories.
Yeah. So what's your favorite food? Like,
Probably aloo gosht, I think. Pakistani food, that's probably my favorite, hands down.
yeah.
And then desserts, probably gulab jamuns. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
No, that's one of
yourself?
my favorites other than biryani. No,
Biryani?
it's aloo gosht as well and biryani. Yeah. Those are
Yeah,
the two
yeah.
main ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't
No,
go wrong
same
with
gulab jamun.
biryani. Yeah.
So how was it growing up in the US?
Yeah, it was pretty good in the beginning. Like I said, we came, you know, right before nine
Yeah.
eleven, so that was a lot to deal with, right? Especially traveling, even as a little kid, always, hey, we got to do the secondary screening and all of that stuff. But luckily for me, it wasn't too bad in terms of the fact that I was still young and the community we moved to. We were in Sugarland specifically. It's the suburbs here in Houston. It's a pretty big
Yep.
Desi community there, and Houston in particular, just as a whole, has a really big Desi community. So didn't have to really deal with a whole lot in terms of any racism or anything like that. Everyone was pretty kind. There's a lot of other Desi kids in school, but just the climate as a whole was different after that, and it just delayed the processes to for us to get green cards and citizenship. It wasn't until I think I was 18 that I got my citizenship. Green card was a few years before that. So it was a really long time to go through all of that. But
Yeah. Process. Yeah.
yeah, overall, all good, I would say. Yeah, it was a bit of a process early years, just with my dad in particular, moving from Pakistan. He wanted to pretty much do his own business, and that's a lot to do, especially coming to this country, figuring out credit score, how the
Yeah.
banking
That's
works, business world. He got pretty much lucky. He had no credit, but he was able to find a business owner. He pretty much was franchising these auto repair shops and was able to talk with them, ended up liking him. And he was like, hey, I'll give you a personal loan. You can get this one location and try to make it work. And, bust his butt doing it for a couple years. Didn't get to see him a whole lot, but he tried as hard as he could, was able to build it up and then make it a successful business after a couple of years. Spent more time doing that and just kind of getting acclimated to everything, how everything works here, finance wise, business wise. Really thankful for him and my mom. just help out with everything. I can't imagine doing that myself, in my
Yeah.
30s or late 20s.
So in terms of the interest in the current sector you're in, like how did you get that exposure? Was it in like high school, university, or a mix of both, I guess?
And honestly, I was originally looking at medical when I was
Mhm.
in middle school and high school, but I think it was AP biology. And I was like, man, I just do not, I just do not enjoy this. This is not my thing. It's like the typical Daisy thing, like, hey, become a doctor. But it just, yeah, it wasn't for me. And for a while there, I just wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do when I was in high school. And then I'm a big movie person. I love watching movies. And it's an older movie, Wall Street with Michael Douglas. I happened to watch that, and also the Big Short. That's a newer one. You may have seen
Yeah.
that, and that just got me really interested in the field and investments in particular, the stock market. And I thought, hey, that could be something for me to do. And originally, I wanted to do investment banking. Investment banking it's a lot of work, a lot of high burnout rate. So, but I thought, hey, might be something interesting there. I can, pursue a field that if it's a lot of work, it's a lot of work. But that's kind of the avenue I went down. And we have a good family friend, Patricia Wenzel, and she's actually been in wealth management for 30 plus years. And I just reached out to her because I know it's in the same industry essentially, just kind of to get her thoughts on any recommendations she may have about, doesn't have to necessarily be investment banking, but just the investment space in general. And she really recommended looking into becoming a financial advisor just from the time we've talked in the past. She thought it could be a good fit for me. And I decided to, apply and see what happens. And, you know, now I'm here.
So was there a build up to like at least before? Were you in another like in finance, or did you go straight into Merrill Lynch?
So, yeah.
How was
So
that?
I originally, when I was, going through career fairs and all of that, I was just applying for pretty much anything in business in general, just to keep
Yeah.
the field open, but was focusing on the wealth management space. I applied for Merrill. I got in with it was Facebook's small business division because they do like some small business for the Facebook Marketplace, and then
Yeah.
for eBay as well. And got in with Merrill. It wasn't wealth management originally. It was they're a little bit. It's kind of like a level below wealth management. It's the Merrill Edge platform. Basically, the best way to describe it, it's kind of financial advisors, but focused more on people that are kind of getting started in the investment space and building their
Mhm.
portfolios and just needing that general advice to kind of start building themselves up. And we were located in the Bank America financial centers. So we would have an office out there and connect with Bank America clients to kind of get them started essentially. And did that for a few years before I decided to switch over to the wealth management space. Basically kind of get my sea legs, so to speak,
Right.
get
Yeah.
accustomed to everything, talking to people, helping them out. It was kind of strange doing it when you're very young, right out of college, and you're talking to somebody that's like 67 years old and you're trying to give them
Yeah.
advice. So those first few years were tough, but I'm glad I got the experience and helped me build myself up.
Awesome. And the key functions that is in your current role, what does that involve?
Yeah, yeah. So with wealth management, it's a lot that we do, and it's based on a team. So it's not just myself. We have a whole team of people that assist our clients. But for me as an advisor specifically, our main focus is really we start off with financial planning. So we really want to just understand what our clients are trying to accomplish because I can give anyone general advice, right? Just like here's
Right.
a rule of thumb about having emergency expenses and stuff like that. But we want to figure out what a person's specific goals are. Hey, I want to be able to retire at 65, the standard retirement age, or I want to retire early, or I don't really want to retire, right? I just want to have the freedom to retire whenever I choose to. We want to figure out what that lifestyle is going to look like in retirement, what kind of income they want, and then what other goals they may have. And maybe may want to send their kids to school, right? Somebody might want to buy a Ferrari, somebody might want to buy a vacation home, whatever it might be, right? And we really want to tailor their plan for those goals the time frame that they have for those goals as well, dollar amount
Yeah.
associated with them, the risk level they're comfortable with. So we try to build those plans out as best as we can and basically set those clients up on a path towards being as successful as possible. Now, we can't guarantee anything, but we want to give them, a guideline for the future and make sure we revisit it on a regular basis to update it as needed and make sure that we're doing everything we need to do. And then make sure that our clients are doing everything they would need to do as well in terms of the recommendations we're providing.
And in terms of like any designations that you found or you've heard that are useful for the role itself, like if people are interested, like
Mhm.
is there any designations you would recommend someone trying to get or work
Yeah.
towards?
Yeah. So you're going to need a Series 7 and a Series 66 designation. A lot of times, the company that you get hired with will provide that training for you to kind of go through that process. Some of them will pay you during that time, some of them won't. Merrill thankfully did. So basically, I spent my first, I think it was three months or so, just studying for that and passing that. Basically, just two big textbooks that you got to get through about investments and financial planning and rules, regulations, fiduciary standards, making sure that you're doing everything in the client's best interest, all that good stuff. And you have to basically pass those tests, one for the 7, one for the 66. I believe now they have split them up into 3 tests, so it's a little bit easier, so you don't have to cram as much information in, but those are must-haves. Beyond that, I did get my CRPC. It's basically, I believe it's a certified retirement planning counselor as a designation. Basically, that's just focus on the retirement planning side of things. Helps you know the ins and outs on how to plan for retirement, medical expenses, Medicare, Social Security, all of that. That's something I would definitely recommend to just give you the extra confidence that you may need, especially in the early days if you're interested in this role. And beyond that, just read as much as you can about the stock market because at the end of the day, you do have to make investment decisions for clients. So you want to make sure you're as up to date on what's going on as possible.
Right. And I guess this is more like a general sense, like key advice for a person who's on their wealth journey, like, starting off, or do you have any general advice at the very beginning that,
Mhm.
you found useful or you've told others along the way?
Yeah, yeah. So honestly, I would say because a lot of people they feel like they're being left out if they don't
Yeah.
invest in the stock market, right? I would say especially if you're just joining the workforce, contribute to your 401k. You'd be amazed by the number of people, especially in the US where 401ks are very prevalent, that don't contribute to their 401k just because they're like, I don't know a ton about it. So I'm just not going to do anything with it. Reach out to your HR team at your work, find out more about it, reach out to people that at your work that know about it, ask some questions because generally they have employer matches, right? It's usually like a 3%, 5%, whatever it might be. If you contribute that and they match it, it's free money, right? It's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. Who you can't say no to free money. So if you want to start investing with your 401k. It's an easy way to get started. You get a matching contribution usually. So it's for retirement and I think that's a no-brainer for most people. Other thing is if you're going to start investing outside of your 401k, always make sure you have an emergency fund.
Yeah.
A lot of people again because they want to be in the market, they don't want to lose out they get started without an emergency fund, make sure you have 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside because, God only knows what's gonna happen, right? You could have a medical emergency, something could happen to your family, you could lose your job, who knows? You wanna have that cash on hand, and once you do, then, you can start up a brokerage account and start doing your own investing, or you can start up an IRA for additional retirement savings, whatever it might be, but just have that cash on hand for emergencies.
Right. I assume the role itself can be quite stressful. So, in terms of activities that you do to cool down, do you have any activities in the weekend or, after work that you try doing just to, you know, fully de-stress?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, big one is weightlifting. My dad he was a bodybuilder back in the 80s. He was Mr. Pakistan and Mr. Asia. So he got me into it in high school and I just kind of stuck with it throughout. It's an easy way to just get all the stress out at the end of a work day. Around here, people usually think I'm pretty calm and collected, and I think that's kinda a big part to play in it because you spend a couple hours at the gym lifting heavy weight, you're all the stress is gone by the end of that. So, yeah, that's definitely something I'd recommend, good way to stay healthy too. But, beyond that, I got married a few months ago, so me and my
Oh, awesome.
wife
Congrats.
Thank you, thank you. Me and my wife, Kate, we just enjoy going out to eat, go to the movies, spend time with family. Nothing too exciting, but,
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
De-stressor.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's kinda like, what's your motivation? Because I realize, like, especially when it gets to late hours of work, like, you just completely lose your motivation to do stuff. So, like, how do you get that small tinge of just, you know, actually going for, your exercise?
Yeah,
Or is it just a
that's
routine at this point?
I mean, sometimes it can be tough, especially if it's been a really long day. So
Yeah.
I try to just stick with 5 days usually, so then I have, like, 2 days in there that I can kinda throw in if it's, like, been a rough day. I'm like, "Man, I woke up super
Yeah.
early, didn't get a good night's sleep," whatever it might be. But for the most part, it's routine, it's gotten to the point where I feel weird if I don't go. I'm just like, "Oh, man, I'm in a funk now," you know? It's like, you don't
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, it's almost like an addiction, right? I gotta go, otherwise I just feel off. Kinda like some people with, their morning coffee. If they don't have their morning coffee, they're like, they don't feel well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel I have the same effect at this point because, like, yeah, I try getting it done earlier because, it's like work from home 3 days, so trying to squeeze it in early in the week and, last few weeks is usually
It
trying to
gets
recover,
to
right? So
yeah, yeah. I can't do morning workouts. Are you a morning workout guy?
no, no, no.
Okay.
It's night. Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
can't do it.
I'm not a morning person. Maybe when I get older, that seems to be the case because I know with my dad, he would always go at night after work, but as he got older, he switched to mornings. So maybe,
Oh,
but
that's tough.
I know. Yeah, I can't do it. Not a morning person.
Got it. So I guess for, key advices that you would give to a person who's in the West, who's trying to inspire, like, in terms of wealth management or finance in general, like, do you have any, like, advice you would like to give? Uh,
So honestly, I would say the number one thing would be to find a mentor. That was extremely helpful for me. That same family friend I was mentioning earlier, Patricia Wenzel, goes by Pat. I actually worked with her now. Started working with the team here in downtown Houston, the Wenzel Group. So she's been in the industry for a very long time and kind of given me guidance throughout pretty much my entire career from when I was in college until now. So I would say having a mentor is extremely helpful, and it doesn't have to be like an official relationship or anything like that. Just find a friend or a colleague that has been in that industry for some time. And if you don't have anyone in your social circle, try to join some committees, join some groups, and see if you can meet someone. You never know who you're going to meet. There's a lot of organizations for people in the wealth management space. A lot of chambers of
yeah,
commerce generally have some, and just get friendly with them. From what I've found, quite a few of the people here, they're very open, happy to help. And the biggest thing I would say that they're looking for is people that are just looking to learn and looking to improve themselves and build their practice and just genuinely want to help people, I would say.
got you. And in terms of the habits that you've developed and, that has led to you continuously working and not, being focused and calm, like, what are some like, you already mentioned one with weightlifting, that helps definitely in terms of de-stressing, but is there any other habits that you've developed that have shaped you to today?
Yeah, I would say with this job, it's a lot of the times that you're going to be meeting with potential clients is a lot of the time it's going to end up being a no, right? You might be meeting that client and they may be shopping around with other firms. And for whatever reason it might be, could be pricing, it could be they just don't like you, right? They might like the other guy better, or you never know. But a lot of times it could just end up being no, right? And I've seen a lot of people, especially the people that are newer to the industry, it affects them a lot more. They get down in the dumps and they're like, I'm just going to head home or I'm going to take a break or whatever it
Yeah.
might be. You can't let it get you down. Always got to keep a positive attitude because you just move on to the next person, right? You just try to find people and just see, hey, I'm trying to help you. And if they're receptive to that and they want to take your advice, they want to, start a relationship and they want you to, work with them, then great. And if they don't, they don't. You just move on to the next person. It's easiest way to equate it for me is dating, right? Yeah, you just keep, meeting people and eventually you find the right one. If you don't find the right one, then you just move on. You
Yeah.
can't just, be down in the dumps the whole time. You just keep on going. I think that would be some really good advice for a lot of people.
And do you have like a routine in terms of just like bouncing back quickly, or is it just like, your mind is just like pretty good, like already?
Yeah, I mean, I just move on to the next one. I mean,
Oh, okay, that's
yeah.
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, so
Yeah.
it takes a lot to get me down. It would have to be like something really bad, or a client that I really like, something, medical issue or something. That's the only thing that would kind of get me down. But for the most part, yeah, I'm pretty resilient. They knock on wood, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess in terms of, well, I think so this is probably a tougher question, but how do you define success? Like you could go both professionally or personally on this question. So I'll leave it up to you how you want to approach it.
Yeah, I mean, I could touch on both ends really.
Okay.
Professionally speaking, especially in this role, it's if you can get to the point where your clients are almost like friends to you, right? Yeah, like you call them and business is like the secondary part of the call. And they just want to like, hey man, what's going on? How have things been? That's really cool. And then just getting to the point where they're like people actually just want to refer other people to in their life that are important to them. And they're like, hey, Changez is giving me such good service and he's been helping me out so much. And I really think, my brother-in-law or my colleague, my neighbor, my friend, whatever it might be, I really want them to get that same level of service. I really want him to help them out and help take care of them as well. That's really fulfilling, when you get to that point. I would say it makes you feel like that everything you're doing is you're genuinely helping people because they can see it
Yeah,
too. It's not just the numbers that you're showing them on a screen. It's like they're actually like, oh man, my life's changing. This
for
guy's
sure.
helping me a ton. I want everyone else to know about it. So professionally speaking, I think that's a big thing. Other thing in terms of like personal side of things, for me, I'm a very family oriented person. So, and Daisies, our parents tend to want to take care of us. And in return, when we get older, we want to take care of our
Yeah.
parents. So for me, it's being able to get to the point where I have kids, I can, send my kids to school, they don't have to worry about paying for college if they don't have to, I can cover it. Hopefully scholarships are there, but if I have to, I'll cover it.
Yeah.
But also help out my parents, make sure they're comfortable, they don't have to worry about anything. So on the personal side, yeah, just being financially stable enough to take care of my family, my extended family.
Awesome. I guess we can end off in terms of any specific groups that you joined that has either helped you or, in your career or in personally as well. I think so. You briefly mentioned about potential groups to join, but did you join any groups throughout your time?
Yeah, yeah. So in Houston, I joined it's Open Houston. It's a mentorship group. So basically, you get a lot of people, whether they're in the corporate field or entrepreneurship, that have been very successful, and people that are, still in college or early graduates or just early in their career that join. And you just get to pretty much mingle at different events, talk to people, get to learn from them, and potentially find a mentor. So that's one of those groups that I would definitely recommend for people that are struggling to find a mentor-mentee relationship. Because I know there's different chapters. I know the one in Houston specifically, the majority is South Asian and Desi, but
Yeah.
I don't think it is specifically a Desi organization. Other one I joined recently was the South Asian Chamber of Commerce. That's a very good organization as well, especially if you're in the Houston community. Just again, meeting people from all walks of life in the South Asian community, different industries, and it's a very big group. So another great avenue just to make connections, potentially friends, potentially mentors or referrals for business, whatever it might be. Beyond that, I would say join us a league that you know piques your interest, like
Stress. Yeah.
or
For sure.
de-stress could be. right? Like recently, I haven't started yet, but some of my friends wanted to do a kickball league here in the Heights. So I just joined that, just once a week or once every other week that we meet up. So that should be fun. Do Toastmasters as well. I'm about to start that
Oh,
in a
nice.
couple weeks. Just get
Yeah.
my public speaking skills a bit better because we do manage a lot of 401ks on the team here on the Wenzel group. So we have to do a lot of public speaking for that, speaking to companies, large groups of people. So wanted to get better at that. But there's a lot out there, I would say. Just find something that fits you. There's people that are into, cars. You can join a car meet,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. Anything that you can find like-minded people, I would say is very helpful.
Awesome. No, like, thank you so much. Like, you talked about so many different topics, like from, your experience in Pakistan all the way to, moving to and growing up in the US and your experience at Merrill as well. And yeah, it was a pleasure interviewing you. So thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me anytime. Appreciate it.